Hello out to all you wonderful people. This is Andre the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear listening into another Gamer's Thoughts discussion. In this, I'm going to be talking about Super Mario Wonder and why Nintendo was able to allow the team working on the game to work on it unfettered without a timeline. So, I made a post on Twitter on Friday, September 1st, and it's because I saw so many people having these wild, random takes on why Nintendo was able to allow Super Mario Bros. Wonder to go without deadlines. Why they were allowed the creative team behind it to work on it indefinitely. And it's one of those things where people had a small inkling of what it was, and there were so many options just thrown around, or so many phrases thrown around. I looked at them like, you all are clearly missing the whole picture here. So I went ahead and made my post. One of the most viewed threads I have ever made on Twitter or X or whatever. At this point, it might as well just be called Cross and have your repost called Recrosses. Crosses, Recrosses. Easy branding, but for some reason Elon Musk can't figure that out. So I'm just going to go through all of the posts because it was a 4-post thread. So it basically reads as a long paragraph if you just read straight through it. So people aren't getting the full picture when looking at the fact that Super Mario Bros. Wonder didn't have a deadline. It gets dismissed with, Nintendo has endless money, so of course they could do that. But really, really think about it. They were able to do this because of the abundance of money they have, sure. But let's not discount the fact that they budget their production of their games really well, and they don't often drop the prices of their games, yet their games still sell well. Combine that with Nintendo being the experimental brand in gaming, and them then having faith in their smaller, lesser-known teams, and you get results like Super Mario Bros. Wonder. There are companies in the games industry right now with more money than Nintendo that aren't able to do the same thing. Nintendo cultivated this situation with how they go about game development and promotion. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is literally the perfect storm of what their perspective on gaming can create with proper management and dedication to the craft. That is what should be learned and taken away from the game. So that's all of the post. In a nutshell, it was just basically saying, hey, this was doable because of how they make their games. This was doable because of how they sell their games. This was doable because of the culture that they created for their games. And Super Mario Bros. Wonder is an experiment. It's a huge experiment. I don't think people understand that. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a huge experiment for Nintendo. It was made by a lesser known team. It's the first game in the series that doesn't feature Charles Martinet. Not that it would be highly distinguishable to those who don't really know the games anyway. And on top of that, they took a huge risk giving this game an indefinite deadline for production and work and development. This game is a big experiment. Even the online setup that they set up for this game is a huge experiment. They are trying to see what they can do going forward in making and producing games that will make them more interesting to the people that would be playing them. They're working on ways to extend the longevity of all of their franchises. This may also be how they start to work on some of the quote-unquote dead franchises. Yeah, think about that. Nintendo has a ton of IPs under their belt. A ton. Some that people have been begging for forever to come back. Like F-Zero. Begging for forever for F-Zero to come back. Eternal Darkness. They keep renewing. They keep renewing their ownership of that IP. Something tells me Super Mario Bros. Wonder was the first step to them figuring out how they can work on those games and still release at regular intervals the stuff that they know is popular for their brand. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did this with a couple more popular franchises. I wouldn't be surprised if they did this with a Legend of Zelda and there's a remake of an older Legend of Zelda game that is not done by the main Zelda team that will likely use the engine that was created by Monolith Soft to remake an older Zelda game. I also wouldn't be surprised if this happens with Metroid, since it's starting to grow in popularity now. Don't be shocked if you see these things happen, because they are working on something big, and this is one of the first steps to that. If Nintendo can have 2 or 3 games that are going to be developed indefinitely during whatever generation they have a new platform out, and the time to hone and craft the game is just there. Not every game that they produce is going to come without deadlines, obviously, but they already aren't known for crunch or pushing or rushing development anyway. But I think that they're going to be working on ways to extend the longevity of development for their game so that they can have a lot of time to really cook the meal for the people that are going to be served. And once they get this figured out and they know what teams will be doing the development for games this way, they're probably going to have some dedicated teams to that. Say, hey, you think you can take this franchise and work on it? Maybe start some ideas for a game for it. See how long it takes you. I mean, because we've already got other stuff we're working on. We'll start dropping those things and you just work. You just take care of the game's long process. I mean, I don't even think Super Mario Wonder is the first example of this. I honestly think Pikmin 4 is probably the first example of this. Because we weren't really hearing anything about Pikmin 4 for a good long while, and that game was being worked on, even though we knew it existed. Super Mario Wonder, we knew nothing about at all until like months ago when they announced it. Yeah, there were murmurs that there was another 2D Mario game, but we had no confirmation to know for sure. And this might be a way that they start making more heavy hitters. I mean, if you think about it, you're using a lesser known team, so your development costs are down. Then on top of that, you're giving them a long time to work on the game. And you're also letting them have free reign of ideas. I mean, maybe, yeah, you check in every now and again and you could tell a couple things because you know that some things are going off the rails. but you give them freedom to develop, to work, to create. I don't see this as being a bad thing. I don't see it being every game. But do I think there will be more games made in this way? Yeah, sure. And Nintendo wasn't the first to do it. A couple other companies have done this with games before. Actually, in one of the comments I got, someone mentioned Prototype had the same type of cycle where it was for a long time. So, I mean, it's one of those things that potentially could be very good for the future. And if it means that Nintendo brings back some of their franchises that I would love to see back, like F-Zero, Custom Robo, maybe get a new Sin and Punishment, I'd be for it. I'd be all for it. Maybe this might also allow them to step into the realm of experimentation with some franchises in ways that they haven't before. Who knows? Maybe we will get that Legend of Zelda MMO. Maybe we will end up with a Metroid horror game. Who's to say? Maybe Geist will make a return. It's just one of those things where I'm seeing the possibilities. And maybe there's something to go forward with. And it doesn't necessarily just have to be Nintendo's IP that they do this with. They could do collaborations with other companies. Especially if they do something with Sega. There's a lot of things that people want to see Sega and Nintendo do together. And it wouldn't be shocking that if they do decide to do a Mario and Sonic platformer or action game, this is the method that they would go with. And without all of the running of advertisements, because they're taking a long time and just letting the process work. And only really announcing it within a year of the game coming out. We might be getting hit with a bunch of sleeper games that we didn't know about. And that's not to mention the fact that this would be a good way to train newer incoming developers to the company. People that haven't really had much of a chance to really get their feet wet. You give them an opportunity to work with some veterans that have been around for a while on projects like this. Let them get to build up their creativity, get used to developing for the company, get ingrained in the culture of development for Nintendo. I mean, hey, smart move. It's a very smart move. And I think, what did the team say? They had over 2,000 ideas they came up with just for this game? That is insane. That is highly insane. Because now that means that they have material for a potential sequel to this game in and of itself. Or ideas that could translate over to another IP. Again, it's one of those things that people should be able to get and understand. But I know most people don't, because they think surface level. I think a little bit lower than that, a little bit beyond the surface level. But either way, I am personally looking forward to this game when it releases because of all of the things that they have added to the 2D Mario playstyle. And I want to see how it feels in comparison to all of the other iterations of 2D Mario, because whether people want to understand it or not, most 2D Mario games don't actually feel exactly the same, and that was one of the reasons that people had a problem with the new Super Mario Brothers line of games. They all felt the same. Not understanding that every iteration of 2D Mario up to that point, even the handheld games, has a different feel from its predecessor. Outside of the Lost Levels, which even that still had a different feel from the original Mario Brothers game, because of Mario and Luigi having different play styles. So even there was wrong. But we'll see where it goes. I'm very interested in seeing where things go with this game and how they update this process going forward. Because I could see something like this being thrown into Legend of Zelda, a top-down Legend of Zelda game where you have something called the Phantom Sword, and then it opens up online play with other people as quote-unquote phantoms that help you out along the way, where you can interact with fighting the same bosses and such, but you don't interact with each other's physical characters. So again, could be interesting. We'll see where it goes, because I myself would like to see how this boils down. But yeah, there's a lot that can go forward. If anybody's got any thoughts they want to express, anything they'd like to say, please do. I'm always willing to hear everybody out. Otherwise, thank you guys very much for listening in. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, please enjoy your games. Peace out, everybody. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy, and I'd like to thank you once again for tuning in. If you would be interested in supporting my efforts in content creation, please head on over to Amazon and look up The Game Idea Guy Presents Gaming Word Search, and you will find both Volume 1 and Volume 2 up for sale. Thank you very much once again, and I hope to be able to create more content for you in the future. Peace out.